For McMahon.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Well, the people of Australia look to their federal government for a vision, and they look for them to be competent in delivering that vision. And when they look at this government, they see a government whose vision is for every Australian to have to pay to go to the doctor, to rip up universality of health care, to wreck Medicare, that great social compact, to give Australia's pensioners who've worked hard all their lives an unfair system of indexation, to take $80 billion out of the health and education systems of Australia, to deliberately create an underclass of Australia's young people by denying them access to New Start, to rip away family tax benefits. That is to some extent of the vision that this government intends to give the nation. And when it comes to competence, they're even incompetent in delivering that cheap and nasty vision for the nation. This is a government which likes to talk about being calm and methodical. We hear it all the time, how calm and methodical this government is. Well, the last 24 hours have been about as calm and methodical as Schoolies week on the Gold Coast, Mr Deputy Speaker. We've had chaos in policy implementation. We had the Prime Minister's office out last night, fanned out across the building, talking to journalists, saying, "You can write with great authority that the GP tax is dead. Tony Abbott's killed it." You can just imagine them over there in the Prime Minister's office saying, "We've got an election on Saturday. You know what we do about election time? You know what we do about election time? We mislead people about our intentions. That's what we do at election time in the Liberal and National parties. Let's brief out that we're killing the GP tax." Authorised by the Prime Minister's office, talking to journalists right across the building. Only one little problem. Nobody told the Treasurer or the Finance Minister or the Leader of the Government in the Senate or the Health Minister, apparently. Calm and methodical. This bunch, this cabinet, led by the Prime Minister, marauding about, attacking the social compact of Australia, attacking those things which have been part of our social compact for 40 years, a 40-year community standard in Medicare. This gang of marauders can't even shoot straight. They can't even shoot straight, Mr Deputy Speaker, in their attack on Australia's social compact. If they give us a cheap and nasty vision, at least be competent as you implement it. At least provide a bit of consistency and a bit of logic as you implement it. But this government can't even do that. They can't even trash Medicare competently. They can't even abolish universal health care with a degree of competence that the Australian people look for. For 40 years they've been trying it. You'd think they'd get it right. They think they get it right. This community standard, which even John Howard didn't attempt to attack, which Gough Whitlam implemented against huge opposition from the members opposite its predecessors, which Bob Hawke and Paul Keating implemented against opposition from John Howard and the Liberal and National parties. But even John Howard, who once declared that he would destroy Medicare, came to accept that community standard. Even he said, "I accept I've lost the debate, that Medicare is here to stay, universal health care is here to stay, Medicare is important to the nation that Australia has become and aspires to be." But this Prime Minister just doesn't get it. He says, "No, I'm going to out-conservative John Howard. I'm going to rip up the social compact that is Medicare." But he can't even do it competently. And when he backtracks, when he tries to admit defeat, it lasts less than 24 hours. And you have the Treasurer out there countermanding the Prime Minister and saying, "No, the Prime Minister's wrong." Now, this Treasurer who stood at that dispatch box and brought down that unfair budget when he considered himself a substantial figure and he was seen as the substantial figure of the government, the person providing the government's narrative backbone. Remember that? Actually, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago when he was the government's most substantial figure. Now he's a danger and a slight breeze, Mr Deputy Speaker, as the Treasurer. That's how substantial he is these days. So you've got to hope they've got him tethered down. So you've got senior Liberals speculating that he might not make the election as Treasurer because of his incompetence. And he says, "No, we're sticking by it. We've got an alternative vision for the nation." He says, "Just because you lose in the Senate, you don't let a little principle like that get in your way. You keep going, because they have an alternative vision for the nation, and it's a cheap and nasty one. It involves making people pay to go to the doctor. It involves ripping off pensioners. It involves cutting $80 billion out of health and education. It involves ripping away New Start benefits from young people. And they won't accept in the Senate. When the Parliament and the people say no, they say no, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going." That's what they say, because this is what they say to the Australian people. We might not be able to implement it now, but we know in their hearts what they want to do. They're making it very clear. If they ever have the numbers in the other place as well as this, We know what they want to do. We know what they want to implement, and
Order.
it's a very poor vision for Australia.